Now that I'm looking at it and comparing to my last video, I think it may actually look better in unnatural lighting. Keep my chin down to not expose my double chin. Since the creation of the internet, several ciphers have been posted, yet still many remain undiscovered. But there are popular cryptid messages which online communities have spent years trying to decode. Yet they haven't been successful. As efforts to the mysteries have died down, they were left unsolved. In 1996, a series of hundreds of strange messages were posted to religious message boards, which appeared to just be strings of gibberish. All the posts contained the words markovian, parallax, denigrate, which is what this phenomenon is now known as. The posts are often mentioned with other bizarre internet mysteries such as Cicada 3301 and Polypus. Kevin Morris of the Daily Dot referred to the messages as the internet's oldest and weirdest mystery. The purpose of the posts have multiple speculations. However, none are confirmed almost 30 years later. Several attempts have been made to identify the poster, and people have been tracked down and contacted. However, they have denied being involved. This was not the first incident of spam on Usenet. In 1994, a pair of lawyers posted dozens of ads for their immigration law services. People were familiar with spam at that point, but when the mysterious Markovian messages began, suspicion arose that they were something more than spam. The hundreds of posts seemingly were just nonsensical strings of text, like a lot of internet shitposts from this age. Most of the original messages have been lost, only a few remain. With no easy explanation for the origins or meaning, users began to hypothesize the reason for their existence. Many speculations were made the messages were a code, with the unknown user hoping for someone to solve them. Some even likened the messages to the broadcasts of the Cold War number stations. Despite multiple attempts to find a cipher, no one has been able to detect any kind of hidden meaning in the post. Some speculate the messages were sent by an early chatbot who was still struggling to learn. Markovian, which has appeared in all of the hundreds of messages, has been thought to relate to a calculating process called the Markov chain, which has been used in the programming of chatbots. Essentially, a random mathematical process which regurgitates text into grammatically correct but completely nonsensical strings of text. However, this is the only evidence to this being the case. If the messages were from a bot, the programmer has never been identified. The simplest answer may just be the most likely. The messages were just an early troll or shitposter. Likely if someone saw similar messages posted today, they may just scroll past them. Trolls have to try a bit harder than posting nonsense these days of the internet. Still, if that is the case, no one has claimed responsibility for the posts. I say if the goal was to troll, they were successful. Since the publication of Markovian parallax denigrate more than 20 years ago, a number of possible explanations and paranoid speculations were created. But the riddle has not progressed any further than it did in the middle of the 1990s. Even though it now appears improbable that anyone will be able to decipher the code, the fact it will never be solved is ultimately more intriguing than any speculation could ever be. Later accounts claim that on August 5th, 1996, hundreds of these messages have flooded Usenet discussion groups, sparking the kind of serious, rigorous inquiry you'd anticipate from the geeky academics who frequent Usenet at the time.
Questions for which there were no solutions.
And the incident was quickly largely forgotten. The messages have been explained in various ways, such as previously stated by an early chatbot or a text generator, a forum spammer, or internet troll, a programmer working with Markovian chains. A subsequent article on the matter from the AV Club makes the argument that the event only became mysterious as a result of later media attention because it had not been widely publicized before the 2012 Daily Dot story. YouTuber Barely Sociable created a video about the subject in 2020, stating that the messages were probably just spam with no hidden meaning. The event's Wikipedia article thereafter rose to the top of mysterious, creepy Wikipedia lists and circulated on blogs and obscure web forums. Around 2006, bloggers soon discovered something much more intriguing. There was only one mail left in Google's public Usenet archives that with the subject Markovian parallax denigrate, and anyone who happened to be an expert in national security would have found the name on the sender's email address oddly familiar, Susan Lindauer, a former journalist who was detained in 2004 after allegedly acting as an agent of Saddam Hussein administration. Since then, she has developed a reputation for selling a variety of conspiracy beliefs, from 9/11 truthers to a cover-up of the Lockerbie bombing. The Wikipedia entry vanished soon after Lindauer's involvement in this was discovered. You didn't have to be a conspiracy theorist to see the connections and suspect there was a problem. Was the Markovian parallax denigrate a message, a cipher, or a cover for top secret government information? According to Kevin Morris of the Daily Dot, the messages were created by Susan Lindauer, a controversial suspected spy whose name appears in the from line of the last archived message. Morris's story goes into considerable detail concerning Lindauer's potential connection to the Markovian parallax denigrate, but he also mentions that she denied any involvement in the development of the messages. When approached, Susan Lindauer refuted being the author of these posts after being wrongfully identified in 2016. The poster's identity was concealed using a forged email account belonging to a University of Wisconsin at Stevens Point student called Susan Lindauer. This is the tale of two Susan Lindauers and how they unintentionally revived one of the earliest and strangest mysteries on the internet. It's mysterious and convoluted, and the more you delve into it, the more so. She was born and raised in Anchorage, Alaska, into a newspaper dynasty as the lone child of John Howard Lindauer II, a former Republican candidate. Before 9/11, Lindauer allegedly forewarned her brother and a close friend to stay away from New York City. Around the time of the Markovian parallax denigrate, in the mid-90s, Lindauer asserted that her CIA handler, a businessman by the name Richard Fruids, knew who was really responsible for the 1998 bombing of Lockerbie, Scotland, which resulted in the deaths of 270 people. Although the U.S. government believed the attack had been planned by the Libyan government or a terrorist based in Syria, in 2003, the Libyan government itself acknowledged guilt for the crime. On the morning of March 11, 2004, the FBI detained Lindauer at her home on suspicion that she had worked as an unregistered agent of foreign government. According to the Times magazine, the government noted Lindauer's visit to Baghdad in 2002, where she allegedly received $10,000. Lindauer, who continued to identify herself as a CIA agent, stated that the purpose of her arrest, which was carried out in accordance to the recently enacted Patriot Act, was to prevent her from speaking out about 9/11, according to Lindauer's accounts. But important to note, not a fact, the airplane hijackings were used as a public cover for a controlled demolition of the Twin Towers building and Building 7. She asserted that Mohammed Atta, the 9/11 attacker, was actually a skilled and closely monitored CIA operative. Lindauer was released from prison in 2006 when a federal judge ruled that she was incompetent to face trial as she suffered from psychosis delusions, according to a government psychiatrist. She claimed to have special powers and that she had indicated that she once met with Osama bin Laden, who disclosed to her the location of a bomb. Based on information published in the New York Times, it's not surprising that conspiracies began to arise as internet users dug deeper into the Markovian parallax denigrate Wikipedia page and discovered an explicit connection to Lindauer. Usenet existed before the internet. It was developed in 1980 by graduate students Tom Truscott and Jim Ellis at Duke University. It allowed users to subscribe to news groups on a variety of themes. Their conversations took place in a format very similar to today's email chains. As Usenet explained, news groups covering just about anything appeared, including atheism, news stories, and sex advice. The emoticon, the FAQ, and spam were all said to be created on Usenet. Tim Berners-Lee used the website to publicly declare the launch of the World Wide Web. Usenet was essentially the best platform in 1996 for transmitting a hidden message to a global audience. Only one message bearing the title Markovian Parallax Denigrate, sent from Susan_Lindauer, remains in Google's Usenet archive from August 5th, 1996. However, there are 52 more posts made on the exact same day that include similar jumbled text. The Markovian parallax denigrate closely resembles a message generated using Markov chains to generate words at random, as previously stated. Though if this is the case, what is the objective? Was it a joke as well? Not for the kind of people who imagine grand plots in the mundane and find secret messages in nothing. Some have suggested that the Markovian parallax denigrate was a code cipher or even a web-based shortwave radio number station which CIA agents are speculated to have used in relay communications. Others have asserted that Lindauer's adversaries added her name to the emails, launching a purposeful disinformation effort to defame her for her attempts to divulge the true identity of the Lockerbie bomber. In this context, the blog Rigorous Institutions published the most comprehensive and frequently referenced theory in 2006. The creator of the Markovian parallax denigrate spam seemingly used the email account of another Susan Lindauer. Finding the other Susan requires some intensive searching because there are so many publications about the well-known Susan Lindauer, who was detained in 2004. But it's not that difficult. Start with the original Marko parallax denigrate email address, the University of Wisconsin at Stevens Point. And it turns out that a Susan Lindauer actually did study physical education at this university as a graduate student who graduated in 1994. Kevin Morris of the Daily Dot, who did extensive research into this, contacted her former faculty advisor at UWSP, Professor Rory Sumi, with whom she published papers on arthritis. Sumi did clarify that this Lindauer was very much a genuine person, even though he wasn't helpful in finding her. This Susan was likely residing in Washington, D.C., and visiting the Libyan mission in New York at the same time she attended UWSP. In the end, locating this Susan was as simple as trying different possible nicknames and searching Facebook. She prefers to be called Susie and changed her last name to Mersu after being married. She works for the local school district and lives in Combined Lakes, Wisconsin. Her Facebook profile was looked into, showing that she likes the Green Bay Packers, Chris Farley and MTV series The Hills. When Morris called her to inquire about the Markovian parallax denigrate, she responded, "I've never heard of it." Without a doubt, she was not responsible. She was also unaware of the other Susan Lindauer claiming, "I've never Googled myself." Marsu didn't write the email that started one of the strangest mysteries in internet history, unless she deliberately is concealing her past as a Usenet spammer, which seems implausible. More likely, her email address was obtained without her knowledge, along with hundreds of other academic emails that were used in the messages. Those emails were used to hide the real address. This is a simple process. In addition, why not consider the probable? If you're engaging in conspiracy theorizing, Usenet became a very terrible environment. As a result of spam incidents like the Markovian parallax denigrate, they foreshadowed the demise of the renowned platform. The most plausible explanation is frequently the simplest. The Markovian parallax denigrate was simply a troll, someone being annoying for the sake of being annoying. How did the Markovian parallax denigrate become known as the internet's oldest mystery, when it only takes a few hours of in-depth research to explain the mystery and validate almost everyone's initial idea of an early spam bot? Barely Sociable makes the observation that people frequently have this quirky habit of making connections between unrelated events, especially when there is some sort of mystery at play. Our frequent inability to read past the headline and website never-ending search for clickbait to generate ad income are factors that contribute to the extended shelf lives of tales concerning Markovian parallax denigrate. As Social eloquently explains, we may like asking questions more than we like getting answered. What was the purpose of this? Why spam everyone? While some dismissed it as an elaborate hoax, others were determined to find the reason for it. The messages seem to have been the result of a bot gone awry at first glance, but this was not the case. Online rumors began to circulate that the message was actually a cipher that could be used to decode something else. The unusual message could not be explained by any standard algorithm, but has also been debunked that the words Markovian parallax denigrate appear the most in the post. If you spend more than a couple minutes looking into it, you will find that Thimbu and Cindy appear more than any other words. User Catherine Hampton posted to the forums the same day the posts were being made. I have personally verified that the following news groups have been hit by the current random text vertical spam. No moderated news groups have been hit so far, and I have warned the moderator of Social Religion Christian, so he is on the lookout. None of the ChristNet hierarchy has been hit, and several regional religion.Christian news groups have also been spared. I have also been mail bombed by this idiot. I'm not sure how heavily, since after the first couple messages appears, I told Rockmail to send them to Deb-Null and informed my ISP about this. I kept copies of the first two mail bomb messages, so if someone needs them to track the idiots down, let me know. Wild hypotheses began to circulate, including the notion that CIA agents were using these signals for covert communications and that a world order was responsible. There are defenses for why the CIA would transmit messages over Usenet public bulletin board. There would be an easy way for anyone to access it, and efforts would be made to interpret what it meant. A lot of people were intrigued by the oddity. Is she insane? Is she trolling a religious forum? Or is she actually attempting to communicate a secret message to the general public? The issue has not been solved for more than 20 years, and there are no well-known initiatives to do so right now. As a result, we are no closer to getting to the answer. than we were in the mid-90s. My guess, that is not even worthwhile for us to attempt to solve it, because the answer would likely be uninteresting. But what are your thoughts? Moving on, 2011 saw the unusual appearance of the A858 subreddit, which was composed entirely of strings of letters and numbers. Posts were made daily, and for a year remained relatively unknown. The users of Reddit determined that the seemingly random characters on this subreddit looked like a code and started to decrypt the postings there, sometimes dedicating a great deal of time doing so. The A858 subreddit grew, and theories began to emerge about the thread's purpose and origin. Some called an insidious government program. Others believed that it was a recruitment scheme created by skilled programmers similar to Cicada 3301. Some even speculated this could be an extraterrestrial creation. Reddit users were compelled to continue working on the A858 despite seeming that they had no way to know what it was. There wasn't much guidance from the subreddit's original author, but when some messages were successfully decrypted, it inspired the world's puzzle solvers. A forum dedicated to solving the mystery saw a breakthrough in August 2015 when a specific hexadecimal change began to surface. It gave the amateur code breakers possibly more questions than answers, but also renewed enthusiasm. For the past couple years, it appears the project has come to a standstill. After the original subreddit was made private, a notice asking users to unsubscribe stated that A858 has concluded. This did not stop those who were devoted to solving the mystery. They continued to search through their old entries in the pursuit of a conclusive solution. One of these participants remarked, "I only hope A858 generally has a function. It really doesn't matter to me if it's a good one." A dedicated group of computer science students, amateur cryptographers, and motivated enthusiasts working together according to the Daily Dot. The subreddit was first private, only open to those who could prove their merit, but later made public. Only a few of the thousands of postings in A858 have been deciphered as of today. The creator of the subreddit remained largely silent until August 2015, when user account in the solving subreddit started to surface, allowing anyone to post questions. Still, any responses were themselves mysterious, such as, "We cannot disclose the purpose. A858 will end when the purpose is disclosed or discovered." On March 29th, after having been private for an extended period, it had been switched between public and private regularly, A858 suddenly stated, "The A858 project has concluded. You may unsubscribe." Many still believe the project is not yet completed. The users were thanked for the work they have put into the project. However, the author stated that any further attempts made into solving the mystery would be futile, as the information available to the public is too insignificant to lead to an answer. However, this was not the end of the A858 story. Reddit user Earth explains in a post that to get closure, he contacted the original author of the post, who stated that he was paid to post code puzzles using various encryption methods and text manipulation by a company to draw interest into a project. No information was released about the puzzle creator or the company who hired him. It ended when the mystery company no longer wished to fund the project. In 2016, after years of silence, a post was made saying A858 was back open. However, 2 weeks following, the sub was made private again, and continues to be so. Proceeding, Unfavorable Semicircle is the name of a group of YouTube channels that attracted notice for the quantity and uniqueness of videos uploaded. Unfavorable Semicircle has been dubbed YouTube's strangest mystery by the BBC, also as one of the top 10 weirdest YouTube channels. Observers began to pay attention as a result of the sheer volume of uploads and the unusual content of the videos. A small Reddit community eventually was created with the goal of investigating the channel's existence. Some popular possibilities for the channel's purpose are that it is a test channel comparable to WebDriver Torso, an online number station, an art project, an alternate reality game, or the work of someone with a disturbed mind. It is probably too complex to be a number station, which are broadcasts by intelligence officers used for communication. It is also unlikely to be a recruitment challenge, as those are often disclosed in some way. WebDriver Torso is no longer considered a mystery. Google has admitted the account was created for test purposes, posting videos containing colorful blocks on white background with different notes playing. However, Unfavorable Semicircle did not have imagery and audio as simple as this. The Unfavorable Semicircle channel was suspended by YouTube in February 2016, shortly after it garnered attention and curiosity after one of its videos was posted to Reddit and soon hit the mainstream news, stating the amount of posts were considered spam. 5 days after its launch, on March 30th, 2015, the account started publishing frequently, with 2 or 3 videos being uploaded every 2 minutes at its peak. During its time online, the channel posted 84,000 videos, some as brief as a few seconds, others lasting up to 11 hours. They were all abstract visuals, either silent or with strange sounds and distorted voices. Titles featured the Sagittarius symbol, or seemingly random numbers. If there is a mystery to be solved here, it would take a lot of time and work due to the sheer number of videos posted, and the skills and intelligence needed to decode puzzles like this. However, there is no proof that there is any puzzle to be solved. That is just one of the many speculations. Longer videos with pixels flashing on screen were put together to show images of what appear to be intentional semicircles and celestial bodies. Later in 2017, the channel deleted itself. A Twitter account shortened to Unfavorable Semi was created, which linked to a YouTube account under the same name. Although later evidence has indicated that these may not be from the original uploader. If it were my guess, this seems to be an art project, but I'm a simple-minded individual and could be completely wrong.